You wake up every morning thinking you're seeing the world as it is. The coffee mug on your counter, the sunlight streaming through your window, the traffic outside your door. All of it feels solid, real, undeniable. But what if I told you that everything you think you're observing is actually something you're creating? What if the reality you're so certain about is nothing more than a construction project happening inside your mind, and you're the architect who forgot you were building? This isn't philosophy. This isn't some abstract concept you can dismiss. This is measurable, documented, scientifically proven fact. And once you understand what's really happening, you'll never look at your life the same way again. Right now, as you're watching this, your brain is performing millions of calculations per second. It's taking fragments of light, sound, and sensation and weaving them into what you call reality. But here's the thing nobody talks about. Your brain isn't just recording what's out there. It's deciding what gets to exist in your experience. It's filtering, editing, and literally constructing the world you think you're simply observing. And the proof? Well, the proof is everywhere once you know where to look. From the blind spots in your vision that your brain fills in without you knowing, to the way your expectations literally change what you see, to the documented cases of people who've had their entire reality shift overnight. We're going to explore all of it, because understanding this changes everything about how you navigate relationships, how you approach problems, how you experience emotions, and most importantly, how much power you actually have over your own life. But before we dive deep, let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how two people can witness the exact same event and describe completely different experiences? How your mood can make a room feel either warm and inviting or cold and hostile? How some days everything seems to go wrong while other days feel effortless and flowing? You probably chalked it up to perspective, to attitude, to circumstances. But what if it's something far more fundamental than that? What if you're not just changing your perspective on reality? What if you're actually changing reality itself? Now, I know this sounds impossible. Your rational mind is probably pushing back right now, insisting that reality is objective, that facts are facts, that the world exists independently of your perception. And in some ways, you're right. There is an external world, but the reality you experience, the one that actually matters for how you live your life, that's something entirely different. That's a collaborative creation between what's out there and what's in here, and the in here part has way more influence than you've ever imagined. Let me give you a simple example that will start to crack this open. Right now, focus on your breathing. Notice how your chest rises and falls. Feel the air moving in and out of your nostrils. Now, here's the question. Was your breathing happening before I mentioned it? Of course it was. But were you experiencing it? Were you aware of it? Did it exist in your reality? The answer is no. Your breathing was happening, but it wasn't part of your conscious experience until I directed your attention to it. And the moment I did, your reality expanded. Something that was always there suddenly became real for you. This is happening constantly. Your brain is choosing what gets to be real in your experience and what remains in the background, unnoticed, non-existent from your perspective. But it goes deeper than attention, much deeper, because your brain isn't just choosing what to notice. It's actively constructing what you perceive based on your beliefs, your expectations, your past experiences, and your emotional state. And this construction process is so seamless, so automatic, that you never realize it's happening. Scientists call this predictive processing. Your brain is constantly making predictions about what should be there, what should happen next, what should feel a certain way, and then it uses these predictions to literally build your experience. It's not waiting for information to come in and then processing it. It's creating expectations and then looking for evidence to confirm them. When the evidence matches the prediction, you experience what you expected. When it doesn't, your brain either adjusts the prediction or dismisses the conflicting information entirely. This is why you can walk into a room and immediately feel comfortable or uncomfortable before you've consciously processed anything specific. Your brain has already run its predictions, compared them to incoming data, and constructed an experience for you. You think you're observing the room, but you're actually experiencing your brain's interpretation of the room filtered through every similar space you've ever been in, every emotion you've ever felt in similar contexts, every expectation you have about what this type of environment should feel like. And here's where it gets really interesting. These predictions aren't just passive interpretations. They actively shape what you perceive. There's a famous experiment where researchers showed people identical wine while telling them it was either expensive or cheap. Not only did people report that the expensive wine tasted better, but brain scans showed that the pleasure centers in their brains were actually more active when drinking the supposedly expensive wine. Their brains literally created a different experience based on their expectations. This isn't just about wine tasting. This is about everything: your relationships, your career, your health, your sense of possibility. You're not just observing these areas of your life. You're constructing them moment by moment based on the predictions your brain is making about what should be there. Think about someone you know well, maybe a family member, a close friend, a romantic partner. When you see them, do you see them as they are in this moment, or do you see them through the lens of every interaction you've ever had with them? Do you see their current expression, or do you see it filtered through your expectations of how they typically behave? The answer is obvious. You see them through the lens of your history, your predictions, your constructed reality about who they are. And here's the crucial part. They're doing the same thing with you. The person you think you are in their eyes isn't necessarily who you actually are in this moment. It's who you are in their constructed reality, filtered through their expectations, their past experiences, their emotional state, their beliefs about relationships and people like you. So whose reality is real? The answer is both and neither. You're both creating versions of each other, and these versions are interacting in a space that exists somewhere between objective reality and pure construction. And the quality of that interaction depends not on some fixed truth about who you both are, but on the quality of the realities you're each creating. This is why some people seem to bring out the best in you while others bring out the worst. It's not just about compatibility or chemistry. It's about the realities you co-create together. Some people's way of constructing reality aligns with yours in a way that creates expansion, growth, joy, connection. Others create realities that generate conflict, limitation, stress, disconnection. But here's the empowering part. Once you understand that you're not just observing reality, but actively creating it, you can start to influence that creation process. You can begin to notice your predictions, your expectations, your filtering mechanisms. You can start to see how your internal state shapes your external experience. And slowly, carefully, you can begin to construct realities that serve you better. This isn't about positive thinking or pretending problems don't exist. It's about understanding that your experience of problems, your relationship to challenges, your perception of possibilities, all of these are partially constructed by your brain's predictive processes. And when you understand the construction process, you can start to influence it. But before we get to how to work with this, we need to understand just how deep this rabbit hole goes. Because what I've described so far is just the beginning. The way your brain constructs reality affects not just your perceptions and experiences, but your actual physical health, your relationships, your performance, your sense of what's possible in your life, the stories you tell yourself about your health, about your capabilities, about your relationships. They don't just influence how you feel about these things, they influence the things themselves. There's a phenomenon called the placebo effect that most people think they understand, but they don't grasp how radical the implications actually are. When someone takes a sugar pill believing it's medicine, their body often responds as if they've taken actual medicine. Pain decreases, inflammation reduces, symptoms improve. This isn't just psychological comfort. This is measurable physical change happening, because the brain's prediction about what should happen is literally creating that reality in the body. But it works in reverse too. When people are told they're receiving chemotherapy, they sometimes develop the side effects of chemotherapy even when they're receiving saline solution. Their brain predicts suffering, and the body obliges. The reality they construct includes physical symptoms that have no chemical cause other than expectation. This is your brain creating reality so powerfully that it overrides what should be physically possible. And this isn't happening in some isolated medical context. This is happening in your life every single day. Your predictions about how tired you should be, how stressed you should feel, how difficult something should be, these predictions are actively shaping your actual experience of tiredness, stress, and difficulty. Have you ever noticed how some days you wake up and everything feels hard? The same tasks that felt manageable yesterday now feel overwhelming. The same people who seemed fine last week now seem irritating. Nothing external has changed, but your entire reality feels different. This isn't just mood fluctuation. This is your brain constructing a different version of reality based on different internal predictions. And here's what's simultaneously terrifying and liberating about this. You have more control over this process than you realize, but you also have less control than you think. You can't just decide to construct a different reality and have it happen instantly. The brain's predictive processes are largely unconscious, automatic, based on deep patterns built over years of experience. But you can influence these patterns. You can start to notice them. You can begin to see how your internal state, your focus, your expectations, your beliefs are constantly shaping the reality you experience. And with that awareness comes the possibility of change. Think about a time when you were dreading something, maybe a difficult conversation, a challenging presentation, a social event where you didn't know anyone. In your mind, you constructed a reality where this thing would be uncomfortable, awkward, possibly painful. You predicted struggle, and your brain prepared for that reality. Now think about what actually happened. Was it exactly as bad as you predicted? Probably not. But here's the key question. How much of your experience was shaped by the reality you constructed in advance? How much of any discomfort you felt was actually about the situation itself? And how much was about your brain confirming its predictions? This is where it gets interesting, because when you understand that you're constructing reality, you can start to construct it differently, not through forced positivity or denial, but through conscious awareness of your predictive processes. Instead of walking into that dreaded situation with your brain already having constructed a reality of discomfort, you can notice that construction happening. You can see your predictions forming, and you can gently introduce different possibilities, not by pretending everything will be perfect, but by allowing for the possibility that your predictions might be incomplete. This small shift, this tiny crack in the certainty of your constructed reality can completely change your experience, because when your brain is less certain about what should happen, it becomes more open to what actually is happening. And what's actually happening is often much more nuanced, much more interesting, much more workable than what you predicted. But here's the deeper truth. You're not just constructing your own reality. You're participating in the construction of collective reality. The way you see other people influences how they see themselves. The energy you bring to situations shapes what becomes possible in those situations. The reality you construct affects the realities that others construct around you. This is why some people seem to have a magical ability to bring out the best in others. They're not just being nice or positive. They're constructing realities that make space for other people's highest possibilities. They're seeing potential where others see problems. They're creating contexts where growth and connection become more likely. And this is also why some people seem to be surrounded by drama, conflict, and difficulty wherever they go. They're not necessarily creating problems intentionally, but they're constructing realities that make problems more likely. They're predicting conflict and then unconsciously behaving in ways that confirm those predictions. The question isn't whether you're creating reality, you are. The question is whether you're creating it consciously or unconsciously, whether you're aware of your role in the construction process, or whether you're at the mercy of automatic patterns you don't even know are running. So here's what I want you to do. For the next week, start paying attention to your predictions. Notice how you approach situations with already formed expectations about how they should go. Notice how your mood affects what you see in other people's faces. Notice how your beliefs about what's possible shape what you actually attempt. You're not trying to change anything yet. You're just becoming aware of the construction process. You're beginning to see the architect at work. And once you can see the architect, you can start to have a conversation with them about what kind of reality you'd like to build. Because here's the final truth. The reality you're experiencing right now isn't fixed. It's not permanent. It's not even completely yours. It's a collaborative creation between your brain's predictions and the infinite possibilities that exist in each moment. And the more conscious you become of your role in that creation, the more intentional you can become about what you're building. You're not just observing reality, you never were. You're creating it moment by moment, prediction by prediction, expectation by expectation. And now that you know this, everything changes, because when you understand that you're the architect, you can start designing the blueprint. The question isn't what reality is. The question is what reality could be. And that answer is entirely up to you.